Well, many prominent Republicans are rejecting the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to disqualify former President Trump from the state's primary ballot, including his 2024 rivals.
I don't think Donald Trump needs to be president. I think I need to be president. I think that's good for the country. But I will beat him fair and square. We don't need to have judges making these decisions. We need voters to make these decisions.
That strikes me as the wrong decision, and it's appalling for the future of our country. We're not a country where we want the federal police state to decide who is or isn't running, and we don't want it to be decided by a small group of people behind the back of palace walls. It should be decided by the people of this country.
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country. That's what I think.
So for more on this, we want to bring in CBS News political director Fin Gómez. Fin, it's always good to see you. So tell us about the strategies behind these responses from Trump's main GOP rivals. You think they'd, be jumping all over this, but they're not.
Yeah, Anne-Marie and Vlad, good morning. I mean, we are 26 days away from the Iowa caucuses, but the only state that people are speaking about today is Colorado and a decision by the state Supreme Court there. I think that when you look at the reaction so far, as you just played in those clips, you've seen that overwhelmingly his rivals have been defending Trump and been criticizing what they see as a government overreach. And that's happening for two reasons, Anne-Marie. One is I think it illustrates the strength of Donald Trump and the strength that he has within the party. Specifically, that they're basically his talking points, what he says about these trials and investigations, including this one, is that this is a political witch hunt, this is government overreach, and you're hearing that same thing from his Republican rivals on the campaign trail. So the second most important thing is the reason why they're doing that is because overwhelmingly, the Republican base has felt and believed the same as what Trump says on these matters. So for the most part, they know that it would be incredibly unpopular. Even Chris Christie, who's come out very critically towards Donald Trump, has been critical of this ruling by Colorado, the Colorado State Supreme Court there. So I think that it shows that the strength of this argument from internally within the structures, the infrastructure of the Republican Party, but also from that base, and especially with 26 days away to the Iowa caucuses, that likely Republican Iowa caucus goer who essentially agrees with this line of thinking.
Vivek Ramaswamy pledged to remove his own name from the Colorado ballot, Fin. What kind of response is that getting?
From that MAGA base that he is trying to court, from that being like an alternate to Trump, that perspective, that position he is trying to court from Iowa caucus goers, I think that reaction so far has been in uniform with what they believe in. And that's specifically because the only audience that they care about right now is that one, right? However, does Vivek Ramaswamy even make it that far to the Colorado Republican primary? I think he could, but I think the assessment of his current status when he's only registering in the low single digits is that there'd be I think a lot of people surprised if he made it that far or further in this election cycle.
So House Speaker Mike Johnson also rejected the Colorado Supreme Court's decision. Are his Republican allies in Congress standing with him?
For the most part, yes. It's that same uniformity that you're seeing on the campaign trail. You're also seeing in the halls of Congress, Republican lawmakers, many of whom already have endorsed Trump or cater to that MAGA base, will toe that line essentially and have been supportive not only of Johnson's stance, but of the former president's. Even though, interestingly enough, in Iowa last night, in Waterloo, you did not see the former president even mention this. It took a lot of people in the Trump camp by surprise, Anne-Marie, but I think they see, and they've told us, that they believe that this will only help them politically, not only in the halls of Congress, but in places like Iowa and New Hampshire as well.
Voters are also reacting, Fin. Here's what one Republican college student had to say.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I think unless he is a convicted felon, has reasonable issues that would disqualify him on the federal level from running for office. I don't think individual states should be with the power to take that away.
Are other voters having similar reactions?
I think the early read from some of our campaign embeds and our reporters that are out on the campaign trail is that it's been more of a mixed bag than what you're seeing from some of the Republican leaders. However, you still see that uniformity again, that consistent the continuity of that same message of them believing that this is the Republican voters believing this is an overreach by this state Supreme Court.
All right, Fin Gómez, always great to talk to you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.